You're not just complicit, you're cashing in. That was the moment the room shifted. Attorney General Pam Bondi, sworn in before Congress, suddenly found herself at the center of one of the most charged exchanges in recent political history. What followed wasn't a neat defense. It was raw, messy, part deflection, part denial, and it left the public wondering, was this a breakdown or the art of concealment? Let's rewind. April 2nd, the day Donald Trump unveiled a chaotic new tariff plan that rattled markets across the globe. Stocks nosedived, investors scrambled, and panic rippled through Wall Street. And on that same day, Pam Bondi quietly sold over $1 million worth of Trump media stock. Within days, the value of that stock collapsed by 13%. Coincidence or calculation? That's when Congresswoman Malene Dean locked eyes with Bondi and delivered the line that ricocheted across the chamber. You're not just complicit in this, you're actively helping and profiting. It wasn't a question, it was an indictment. Bondi bristled. Her response was sharp, almost mocking. If you think I profited, maybe you should take a class in financial literacy. She insisted she'd lost money, but the numbers told a different story, and lawmakers knew it. Still, the most startling revelation wasn't in the math, it was in what Bondi did next. Instead of providing clarity, she unraveled. Defensive, emotional, ducking the most direct questions, pivoting into grievances, spinning half-answers that never quite landed. And yes, the cameras captured every moment. Trump's cabinet has often been described as a mix of the fiercely loyal and the glaringly unqualified. But Bondi's moment wasn't about incompetence. It was about something darker: ethics, accountability, and the dangerous overlap of personal fortune and political power. The hearing itself had opened on steady ground. Congressman Joe Morrell began with solemn questions about threats to members of Congress, real dangers, demanding federal focus. Bondi agreed without hesitation. But when the topic shifted to presidential pardons, her composure cracked. Morrell pressed. Could a presidential pardon cover crimes committed after it was granted? He laid out a scenario. Say, a January 6th rioter pardoned on day 1, later arrested with illegal weapons. Should that pardon shield them? Bondi sidestepped. She name-dropped Biden, invoked Hunter, even veered into death row commutations. But she never addressed the core question. At one point, Morrell cut through the fog. You're the chief law enforcement officer. What is your opinion? Her reply was chilling in its emptiness. I'm not going to comment. The silence that followed wasn't just uncomfortable, it was damning. Not because she lacked answers, but because she refused to lead. Then came the escalation. Malene Dean returned to the mic, visibly shaken with frustration. Her voice rose, cutting through the chamber. Do you hear how hollow your words sound? You claim to stand with law enforcement, yet your principal, the president, pardoned every single January 6th rioter on day 1. Bondi said nothing. Dean pressed harder. Did you advise him on that decision? Bondi's response was flat, evasive. I will never discuss conversations I had. And just like that, the air in the chamber shifted again. Not with answers, but with the heavy realization of what wasn't being said. With the president. Again, another deflection. What followed wasn't just a Q&A. It was a collision of values. Dean demanded truth. Bondi retreated into procedure, and in that stalemate, the American people were left with the haunting question: who is holding the watchdogs accountable when the watchdogs themselves go silent? The hearing unraveled into something darker. A member asked Bondi point blank if she had ever registered as a foreign agent. Her answer? Yes. She admitted she'd worked with Qatar during the World Cup on anti-human trafficking efforts, But instead of transparency, she offered fog. Had that been disclosed during her confirmation hearings? Her reply was evasive. It was disgust. The paperwork, however, told a different story. No disclosure, no record. Then came the real shockwave. A report surfaced that President Trump had accepted a $400 million luxury aircraft from Qatar. And who allegedly cleared the path for it? Bondi's office. When asked directly if she had advised the president on the legality of that move, her words echoed like a steel door slamming shut. "I will not discuss any advice my office gives to the president," pattern recognized. Same tactic, over and over. Dodge, deflect, deny. Each non-answer only deepened the suspicion. One congressman finally cut through the charade. "You're not just part of this. You're profiting from it." Bondi snapped back with the same rehearsed line, dripping with sarcasm. "Maybe you should take a class in financial literacy." By then, the mask was off. This wasn't just a stumble under pressure. It was performance. A studied choreography of evasion. Less a meltdown, more a masterclass in strategic deflection. But the hearing was never really about Pam Bondi alone. It was about something larger, more unsettling. A system under siege. A democracy straining under the weight of unchecked power. Since taking office, Trump has often operated not as a president bound by limits, but as a monarch daring the system to stop him. Attacking judges, dismissing Congress, threatening to ignore court rulings. And now the ripple effects are undeniable. A Department of Justice entangled in loyalty tests, ethics bartered for political gain, and truth suffocated by loyalty oaths. Yet amid the noise, one voice broke through. Congressman Jamie Raskin. Calm where others raged, precise where others fumbled, principled where others postured. He didn't shout. He laid out the case with clarity. He reminded the chamber and the country that the framers of the Constitution built a system of divided power precisely to prevent this kind of overreach. He grounded his argument in history. Only 15 federal judges have ever been impeached, not for ideology or partisanship, but for crimes, bribery, corruption, tax fraud. The line had always been clear, until now. Raskin went further, painting a chilling portrait of where we stand today. A president wielding power like a weapon, while the people, through courts, protests, and sheer persistence, fight to preserve the democratic guardrails. And then he anchored it in the present. Just last week, Flag Day. While Trump basked in spectacle, presiding over a $45 million military parade, more than 7 million Americans filled the streets in protest. A new fault line had opened. Parade versus protest. Power versus principle. Spectacle versus substance. That's when a movement was born. No King's Day. Not a gimmick. Not a hashtag. A declaration. A reminder written in the voices of millions. The presidency is not a throne. Raskin drove the point home with facts that cut sharper than rhetoric. Nearly 200 injunctions, legal walls erected against Trump's administration. Barriers not built by partisans, but by judges across the spectrum. Democrats, Republicans, even some Trump himself had appointed. That's the power of law over personality. And the fight isn't only in Washington. In Minnesota, Illinois, New Jersey, state attorneys general are stepping into the breach, filing lawsuits, winning in court, holding the line when federal leadership falters. This is the Constitution in action, not as parchment in a museum, but as a living barrier against overreach. Through it all, Raskin's voice carried one chilling truth. We are in a constitutional confrontation. But here's the twist. It isn't one-sided. The people are resisting. The courts are resisting. And lawmakers with courage, rare as they may be, are refusing to look away. So where does that leave us? with questions that cut to the core. Can an attorney general remain impartial when their own financial interests are entangled with the administration they serve? Should a DOJ official tied to foreign governments and shadowed by questionable stock trades be trusted to uphold justice? And perhaps the hardest question of all, what does accountability even mean in an age where silence has become a shield? That's where you come in. What do you see in Pam Bondi's testimony? Was it a calculated performance, carefully rehearsed to shield herself and the president? Or was it the crack of pressure finally breaking through? And what about these hearings? Are they genuine oversight or political theater staged for the cameras? We want to hear from you. Share your thoughts in the comments. If this video shifted your perspective, even just a little, hit subscribe. More is coming. More hearings. More analysis. More hard questions for those who would prefer none at all. Until next time, stay curious, stay skeptical, and above all, stay engaged.